Hey folks, sorry I have not reviewed the last 3 episodes of The Walking Dead. I know I'm really late to this one. Season 4 has come and gone, and I was reviewing last season from the mid-season finale on, but then I just didn't review the last 3 episodes. Main reason was because I got the flu that was so bad. It lasted a month. I was calling it the Walking Dead flu because it was very, very bad. I wanted to review those episodes because I had been anticipating it. Those episodes were coming as a fan of the books that I had read. So I kind of knew they were coming and wasn't as shocked as everyone else about what happened. But, you know, things happen. I also had my phone that got wiped, just completely wiped out. And I had to get it reinstalled and everything else. And the camera wasn't working. Like, I was doing videos and they weren't uploading. And I had actually done a review of The Grove, but it never ended up getting to YouTube because it got wiped when my phone just completely died. But I'm going to briefly recap those episodes here and give you some expectations, rumors, spoilers for Season 5 that's coming up. The episode that I first missed was The Grove. Now, this is the one where Lizzie and Mika and Carol, Tyrese, and Judith were involved. And in this episode, it was not surprising to me at all that Lizzie, who we'd seen some flashes of psychotic behavior before, but Lizzie killed Mika, and then it was Carol who had to kill Lizzie. By looking at the flower, whenever I hear, just look at the flowers, I'm always going to flash back to that scene. Now, this had occurred in the books. Ben and Billy were the 2 young boys that were involved in the comic book for this storyline. It was not Carol that killed the Cain of the 2. It actually was Carl who ended up shooting the offending brother. But I just find it interesting that whenever somebody young ends up missing and ends up dead, flowers pop up in Carol's life. Remember when Sophia went missing and Daryl brought her those yellow flowers, those Cherokee rose flowers, and told her that it was an omen or a superstitious story that he had heard? That whenever you find a blooming Cherokee rose, then it means good luck, that someone's going to live. Well, no, they're not going to live. He was wrong. Sophia died. She was in a barn full of walkers. And here again, the flowers proved to be a calming factor for Lizzie when Carol had to take her life. So, I mean, there's not really much that goes forward from this episode that I anticipate seeing a lot of next season. We did not see Carol and Tyrese show up at Terminus on the final episode, so I'm thinking they find the guns that Rick and Michonne hid outside the gates, and they might use those to break them out. I don't know. The episode called Us. This was shocking to TV viewers because Daryl's new friends, the Claimers, took Rick and Michonne and Carl and Daryl. They ended up beating Daryl up. They took them hostage, and the really fugly one, the one that looked like something out of a Frankenstein movie, he tried to rape Carl. Now, TV fans were pretty shocked by that scene, even though it was very minimally done. It was very similar to the way it was in the books, though. I mean, literally right down to the part where Rick rips out, the guy's throat. Can't remember, Joe? Was it Joe? I think Joe was the guy's name. I mean, that was all in the books, so it wasn't as shocking to me since I had read it in the books. The scene on TV was very similar to the panels that you saw in the comic book. I mean, you're seeing the edges of my notes here. But it was very similar to the comic book. Now, there were some changes. Like, in the book, I believe Carl was 7 or 9. I can't remember. He was really young. And on the TV show now, Carl is 13 or 14. So there was some differences. It was far more icky in the book than it was on TV. And of course they couldn't air anything like that on TV. It would be really, really, really bad. But by the time that the group reached Terminus, this was the end of that scene. I think may have actually been the beginning of the finale episode on A. But Carl made a statement in the woods right before they hid the guns and everything in a hole. It was very cryptic. He was like, yeah, we all have something to hide, or there's something about all of us that we don't want others to know. Now, I've heard some people say that it sounds like the way that they acted in their life before they came out of the closet. So there are rumors that Carl might secretly be gay and about to come out of the closet in Season 5. There's no precedent for that in the books, so I don't think that will happen. I've got 2 theories here. I'm thinking in Season 5 we will find out Carl's secret. Actually, I have 3 theories. There are 3 of them. 1, maybe he has been killing far longer than during the zombie apocalypse. Maybe he's a little Lizzie. Because in the books, when Carl kills Ben, I think it was Ben, because I think Billy was the younger one that got killed. When Carl kills the brother, there's no remorse, there's no thinking, he just does it. He's very cold and complacent. So, when Carl killed the kid in the woods a little while back, he really he didn't have any feelings then, so maybe that might be his secret, that he's been killing before the zombie apocalypse, and he's really a serial killer. Or, perhaps he knew about his mom Lori's affair with Shane when it was occurring after Rick supposedly ended up in the hospital and died. Or, and this still goes along with the second theory, maybe he knew all along that Lori and Shane were hooking up before Rick went to the hospital. Who is to say? I mean, there's no hints of this on the TV series, and they would have to really build a backstory here. What if Shane is really Carl's dad? Maybe Carl kind of knows this, or wanted this all along, and would prefer Shane over his father. He's kind of said that before in a few key scenes this past season. But I really think, a third theory, I really honestly think that Carl's entering that awkward puberty phase where he finds himself attracted to girls. And in the books, his girlfriend is little Sophia, but of course Sophia died so early, they don't have a girlfriend for Carl in the TV series. So, he's got to be attracted to some female, right? The only female that he's really, really close with right now is Michonne. And they vacillate from being like surrogate mother and son to brother-sister to sometimes just like best friends. The whole group there, Rick and Carl, are very close with Michonne. So maybe Carl's developed a crush on Michonne. And he's afraid to show that. I mean, I can see how anyone could have a crush on Michonne, to be honest, because she's badass. But I mean, that could be a big problem because, for obvious reasons, and the fact that Rick might also have a crush on Michonne. So, the finale episode was A. As I'd said, there really weren't many secrets that were revealed. I mean, Carol, Tyrese, Judith, they hadn't shown up yet, or we don't think they've shown up yet. So like I said, I think they might find those guns and might break them out of Terminus. Now, we know that there's a character coming, and his name is Reverend Gabriel Stokes. Now, this guy is the anti-Herschel, which will be interesting because we do believe that Beth is with him. Either Beth is in one of those train cars at Terminus, or has been eaten because they're cannibals, but we know that the actress is back for next season, so it's unlikely that she's already been eaten. But Gabriel Stokes, being a man of God, obviously the guy that drove off with her in his car, because his car had like the Jesus fish and everything on the back, so clearly he's a man of God. But this is a man who is very selfish. In the books, he lets people die, be eaten. He feeds them to people, to the walkers, to save himself and save his supplies. So he's not one to be trusted. Of course, Beth, because she's so hopeful and has positive thinking, and she gets that from Herschel, more than likely she's going to trust this man. And it's going to cost her. Now, what's it going to cost her? It could cost her an arm and a leg. In the books, the hunters end up claiming a limb from a victim. Now, the TV series, it's obviously going to be a different victim. Some people said maybe Rick, but I don't think so. I think there are only two candidates that will end up losing a limb to save the rest of the group to be eaten. And that will be Beth, which is ironic because her father Herschel lost his leg. So I think if she ends up sacrificing a limb, it will probably be her leg. Now, Daryl. Now, will Daryl come in and try to save Beth's life by offering one of his limbs? Daryl's the only other person I could think of that would give up a limb. And I think he would give up a hand. Which would be ironic because his brother, Merle, gave up his hand to save his life. So I think Daryl will give up a hand, and I still am hoping that Daryl will rig up a huge crossbow, that it's his trademark weapon. He puts it on his stump, and he has a crossbow for an arm. The same way that Merle had like that knife thing, because he had to cut his hand off, remember? So then he put the knife on his hand and had a blade, which is pretty freaking cool. But Daryl has to be cooler than Merle, so he's going to put a crossbow on his arm. And the last rumor that we have heard is that a main character dies in Season 5. The actress that plays Tara tweeted a cryptic message right after the staff was ushered into a private, room to say goodbye to an actor. And we assume that they did this so that fans wouldn't be able to see it and spoil it. And of course, the fans did anyway. But the actors, Stephen Ewan, who plays Glenn, and the actress that plays Maggie were the two that were seen leaving separately from the rest of the group after that scene. So we were led to assume that Glenn gets killed. Now, who kills Glenn? In the books, Glenn is killed by Negan, who is a really badass guy that you guys will really, really want to see. He's the one with the barbed wire baseball bat, and he takes Glenn's face off. It's so pivotal in the books, I don't see any way that Glenn does not lose his face. The same way on the TV show. And I would assume Maggie probably will end up getting killed too, or she'll kill herself to be with him. So you might lose both of them. Both of them in Season 5. There's still rumors out there that Carl dies, or that Rick dies, or that Michonne dies. And I don't see Michonne dying. I don't really see Carl dying. Rick, maybe, because the producers have said that this show can go on without Rick, even though he's been the main character since the very beginning. But I'm pretty sure that Glenn is the one that dies. Sorry, that's a spoiler. But that's what I'm thinking. But we won't find out until October when the season starts. And we probably won't find out if Glenn dies until after the mid-season finale. So that'll be 2015. And that's sad. But sorry that I took so long to do this video, but I promise once the season starts, I will review every single episode on time. Until then, goodbye.